Hello and welcome to this James the Bike Guy, where today we're getting a chance to take a look at a bike that's all about numbers and, in fact, shrinking numbers. That's right, this bike in front of us is going to shrink the time that it takes to do your ride, it's going to shrink the weight of the bike, and it's going to shrink the amount of money in your wallet. That's right, in front of us is the 2024 Specialized Tarmac SL8 Pro, which is the best of the best if you don't go S-Work. So in this video, we're going to go into the features and designs of this brand new superbike, talk about what's changed up and what's new, and then we're going to put it on a scale because, well, I haven't weighed it yet, but this thing is light. All right, so after that introduction, you can tell I'm pretty excited because, well, this bike is very cool looking. This being the brand new variant of the Specialized Tarmac. Now, the Tarmac is an out-and-out race bike, and over the last couple of years, when the SL7 model came out, that bike turned to a combination of all-round performance with the addition of Aero. And even the SL7 version was quite light, but Specialized has gone to great lengths in this brand new variant to take some of their learning from the Ethos, their ultralight 585-gram climbers bike, and bring that technology into a bike that's also faster and also stiffer. All those numbers need to be taken with a bit of a grain of salt, but I want to get out of the way the stats of this new bike. Now, this new bike is claimed to be 15% lighter than the outgoing SL7, with a 33% better stiffness to weight ratio. Mind you, some of that pickup is of course in the reduced weight of the bike. It's going to be 16.6 seconds faster over a 40-kilometer ride, although I don't know at what speed or at what wattage, and then 20 seconds faster over the Tourmalet climb, should you ever do that yourself. But maybe the number that's most surprising is it's an additional 6% more compliant from the outgoing SL7, and can still run 32 millimeter tires. Now that's a bit of a surprise because most of the time on Aero bikes, you're sacrificing both weight as well as ride quality for those watts that you're saving. But in this bike, in theory, you're not. Now, when I talk about this bike coming in 15% lighter than the prior generation, let's knock that out. So this is our Pro version of the frame. And that means that this is running what they call 10R carbon, and 10R is the mid-level carbon in Specialized game. It's the same frame that's going to come on the experts, the pros like this model, and then the S-Works version, which is their absolute top-end variant, runs what they call a 12R carbon layup. Now, the difference between S-Works and the Pro, aside from price, is going to be in that carbon fiber, but all of the geometry, all of the frame features remain the same. Now, on the S-Works variant of this bike, it comes in at a very lightweight 685 grams, which is just so light for a Aero disc brake road bike. And in fact, it's only 100 grams lighter than the ultralight Ethos frame from Specialized. Now, the variant in front of us, being the Pro and 10R frame, comes in at 780 grams, so only picking up 95 grams over the S-Works variant. And just for fun, let's compare this to the top-end variants of Specialized's most formidable competitor, Trek. Now, if you compare the S-Works of this bike compared to the Amanda SLR, their top-end variant, it weighs in at 15 grams heavier. The Amanda coming in at 700 grams for the frame, a climber-only bike, and then the Madone, their Aero road bike, comes in at 1,000 grams, so quite a bit heavier than this Tarmac. Maybe the most striking difference is between that 10R frame at 780 grams. If you compare that to the Trek SL variant, the same level from Trek, that bike weighs in at 1,142 grams, meaning you're saving somewhere in the range of about 40% of frame weight. Absolutely crazy, especially when you consider that it comes with some Aero features as well. And maybe the most striking Aero feature is what they call their speed sniffer. And I mean, that's a pretty silly name for basically adding a bit of a additional mass or additional fairing to the front of the bike, and you can see it especially when you turn the handlebar. Notice how the front end sticks out past the fork. And interestingly, Specialized is not taking advantage of that extra space in the front end for cable routing, but rather running it down next to the steer tube through the headset bearing. I should mention that this is fitted with the new Aero handlebar. This is the Rapide handlebar, and unlike the S-Works variant, this is not the one-piece setup. So you've got a separate bar and stem combo, an aluminum stem, carbon Aero handlebar. You do get that integrated cable routing, but I really like it because it's not actually inside. Although you're getting all the benefits of having a totally integrated front end, you also get the benefit of a much easier setup and repair of that cockpit and cabling. Now, going back through, the frame does not look as Aero as you often would expect. It's a little more round tubing, especially with this round down tube. Normally that would be Aero shaped, but Specialized says because you're already pedaling, that's turbulent air, and so part of adding that speed sniffer is pushing everything out forward to start breaking up the air, getting that to go around the rider's body, rather than focusing on Aero in the middle. And through the back, the seat tube is very SL7 reminiscent to me, and to the back, you've got these drop seat stays, so nice little Aero touch, and of course, back to this through-axle rear end, and just really slender seat stays. Now, I've seen a lot of people on the internet claim that the front end looks a bit different, and then the back end looks so much like Athos, and I'm not sure that's entirely true, because even though it's got these pencil stays, they have an Aero shape to them. It's going to be hard to pick up on camera, but the shape is not quite round like what you get in Athos. And then going into the threaded BSA bottom bracket gets stiffened up, and that's where Specialized is going to get that additional stiffness for their claimed 33% better stiffness to weight ratio compared to the SL7. Last pieces to talk about on this bike is, of course, going to be in the componentry. With this being a Pro version at $8,500, it is an expensive bike, but it's spec'd fairly well. You've got Di2, Shimano, Ultegra. So this is electronic shifting, Ultegra through a 12-speed rear cassette, and it drives forward to the Ultegra crankset, which nicely is spec'd with a mid-compact, a 5236 on the front end, and every version, except for the frame set, comes set up with a power meter right out of the box. Interesting that Specialized is running the 4i power meter rather than the Ultegra one. I wonder if those problems that were being seen in the Tour have anything to do with that. Past the Ultegra drivetrain, we do have the Roval Rapide CL2 wheel set, this being a carbon fiber tubeless ready wheel set, and this bike has a 21 millimeter internal width, but you can see the external width of this rim is just wide. So we've got 26 millimeter tires on the bike at the moment, and the rim itself is wider than the tire. Now, of course, that's going to allow for making that more aerodynamic shape as the tire breaks the wind, catches the wheel. But it's just such a wild look to see these super fat rims on 26 millimeter tires, albeit you can run up to a 32 millimeter tire. Really cool stuff to be able to have all of that tire clearance while still being Aero and still being quite a bit faster. But I've blabbed on for long enough now because I know you really want to know what this bike weighs in at. And the actual weight in a size 54 is going to come in and weigh 15.44 pounds. Oh, and just for those people that care, that say the frame's going to be super flexy in hand, maybe I'm not that strong, but I don't know, this tubing shape does not seem to be having the flex that the internet thinks. Would you look at that?